Hey everyone, welcome to Scenic Sights and Bites. If you're new to our channel, my name is Zach. My wife Callie and I would like to invite you on our journey for our love of food and travel. So be sure to hit that red subscribe button if you want to see more great videos. Now today, I'm going to be making keto-friendly, low-carb, gluten-free spicy chicken strips. Now isn't that a mouthful? Now, the only thing I'm going to say about this is if you're making them for the purpose of them being gluten-free, you're going to want to make sure that your spices don't have any trace amounts of wheat or products like that that may have gluten in them. Other than that, if you're just doing it for the purpose of it being low-carb, Atkins, or keto-friendly, then we're all set and ready to go. So I'm going to go over our list of ingredients. First of all, for these, we need 2 chicken breasts. Now these can be previously frozen as long as they're thawed out by the time we start. Now you want them at a cold temperature. So I just pulled these out of the refrigerator just before we started filming. Next, you need 2 cups of lukewarm water and about 4 tablespoons or a quarter of a cup of kosher salt. And that's gonna be used to make the brine, okay? Next, we've got some vegetable oil for frying. I've got some white wine vinegar. If you don't have that, you can use regular vinegar. I have an egg. I've got a bag of, I call them piggy puffs, but they're pork rinds. You can use whatever brand you want. My bag is about 70 grams, and that's about the amount we want. So if you buy bigger or smaller bags, you may have to adjust. Almond flour, we're gonna need about 3/4 of a cup of that. And then for spices, I've got half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder. And if you're making these spicy, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. If you don't want them spicy, just simply eliminate that. And I've got 1 egg. Okay, so next I'm gonna make the brine and we're gonna soak the chicken and then we will see each other afterwards. So the brine is really simple. So you grab your warm water, not real warm, you just want it to be lukewarm, and about 4 tablespoons, give or take, of kosher salt. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, and then you're just gonna stir that until it's mostly dissolved. It doesn't have to be completely dissolved. Once that's done, I'm gonna put the 2 chicken breasts in and we're gonna set a timer for about 20 minutes. That'll give it a chance to lock the juices into the chicken and they'll be nice and tasty and moist when we eat them. One thing you wanna do right now is get the rest of your stuff ready to go so that when the chicken is done from the brine, you can just continue on with your cooking and you won't have to wait. So what am I doing right now? I'm making an egg wash. That's simply 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of white wine vinegar, and then we just whisk it up. Now with that brine, if you're gonna be keeping it for more than 20 minutes, or if your chicken wasn't cold to begin with, then you're gonna wanna have it covered up and stick it in the fridge. But the whole point behind making sure your chicken is refrigerated is that you can put it in the warm water for the 20 minutes, let it soak in the brine, and then your chicken is at just coming to room temperature when it's time to cook it, so everything works out really nice. The next step we have to do is the dry ingredients. So that's gonna be the almond flour and the spices. We're gonna mix those up really good till it's blended nice and evenly, and we're gonna put that aside. And then the last step is gonna be getting the pork rinds ready, and that's for our outer coating, and they have to basically be crushed into about a kind of a coarse crumb type texture. So I'm gonna get this all ready, and then I'll see you when that chicken is done brining. Okay, so now it's time to crush the pork rinds. So I'm going to be using my Ninja blender. It's a powerful blender with a couple of levels of blades, and it works really good, as you will see here in just a moment. You sure to check in the video description below for a link to the recipe. Okay, so now you can see that they're ground up quite finely, which is just how we want it. If they're too big, they're not going to stick. And if they're too small like a powder, well, that's not really going to give you the crunch you want. So this gave me a real nice consistency. And of course, the other way you could have done this is just crushing it by hand or with a rolling pin. I've got my 2 chicken breasts that have already been in the brine. Now I've taken them out and dried them off really well between a couple of paper towels. I'm now going to take those chicken breasts and one at a time trim off any kind of loose floppy pieces and cut them into about 4 equal pieces. If you get any pieces that are really big, you can cut them down in half into smaller pieces, of course, if you want, or you can even turn these into nuggets. Just adjust the cooking time as you will. And you'll notice after I get my 4 pieces, I trim off any little extra pieces of fat or loose pieces of skin that you don't want to have on there. So now it's time to coat the chicken. In the first bowl, I've got my almond flour mixture. The second bowl, I have the egg wash. And the third bowl, I've got those pork rinds that have been crushed down fairly fine. Okay, so you grab a piece of chicken, roll it around in the almond flour, coating it really good, and actually press it into the chicken really well so that's sticking nicely. From there, we're going to dip it into the egg wash just fairly quickly. And then you're going to roll it into the pork rind crumbs. And again, you can press them in a little bit so they stick a little bit better, and then just put it off to the side on the plate. We're going to do that for each one of these so they're all ready to go when it's time to fry them. So now we're ready to fry. So in my frying pan, I've got a decent amount of cooking oil, and I'm just using vegetable oil for this. Once it gets warm enough, and you can tell by dripping a drop of water on it, if it sizzles and spits, then it's ready. Once it's warm enough, I'm going to take about half of the chicken strips and lay them in the pan to cook. And you're going to do 2.5 minutes or so per side, I think is what it works out to be. So after the first side is done cooking there in about 2.5 minutes, you're going to flip it over. Do the same thing for the second side. And then once you think they're done, it's a good idea to use an instant read thermometer to check the temperature, just to make sure that you have achieved a safe cooking temperature of that chicken. And then put them onto a rack to dry. And so I've just got a baking sheet here with some paper towel and a wire rack over top, and I'll set them on top of that to let any grease drip. All right, so now that we're done making the spicy chicken strips, I've got them plated. Now I split them up into 2 different meals. I stuck one half in the fridge for later. When you reheat them, they're not as crispy as when you make them firsthand, obviously. But so this is what we've got here: 4 strips, or in the case of the other part I had where we had cut 1 strip into 2, that was 5. But typically you'll have about 4 strips. Mix it with your favorite dipping sauce. If you have a low-carb sauce, I like to just use mayonnaise and Dijon mustard mixed together, either 1-to-1 or 2 parts mayonnaise to 1 part Dijon, or whatever you like. If they're not spicy enough for you, add more cayenne. And another thing you can do is add some hot sauce to your dipping sauce. So that makes it extra spicy too. But let's give this a try and see what we think. The chicken is very moist and delicious. The coating is nice and crispy, and the taste overall is really good. I would probably add a little bit more spice to it next time. but this might be spicy enough for you, or it might even be too spicy. So just adjust it accordingly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, kindly give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be putting out lots of good food and travel videos. Not so much travel right now because of the whole travel lockdown. This is being filmed in April of 2020 during the whole COVID-19 thing. But I'm still gonna be putting out some travel videos that I haven't finished editing from before, as well as some more food videos, keto and non-keto alike. So if you're not following keto diet, that's okay, because I'll have stuff for you as well. Comment below, let me know what you thought of these chicken strips. If they were spicy enough, not spicy enough. You know, you can adjust it yourself. Let me know what kind of changes you made to it. Let me know what your favorite low carb dipping sauce is as well. And on behalf of Kelly and myself, Zach, thanks for watching our channel, and we hope to see you next time. Take care.